It's the time of year where all things that terrify and terrorize our sanity are celebrated and embraced. And what better way to celebrate than to create a list of some of the most terrifying and iconic monsters in video games. This list will primarily focus not only on the creature's horror factor, but also as well as how memorable they are. So while some of these monsters may not be the scariest of beasts, they will have had to have left their mark behind in order to have made it on this list. Also, since this is a list of monsters, and monsters tend to be less than pleasant, there will be some disturbing imagery in the following top 10 list. You have been warned. Number 10. Witch, Left 4 Dead. Valve's Zombie Apocalypse first-person shooter brought many possible variants of undead that could have been put on this list, from the horrifying Spitter to the bloated Boomer. While each of these creatures were disgusting and unique, none of them were quite as memorable as the Witch, however. While witches aren't as bloodthirsty as many of the other creatures in the game, if you got too close or made them angry, you instantly learn that you've made a bad mistake. As you approach the witch, she will growl and bare her massive claws threateningly to get you to back off. If you fail to understand this warning, you will soon find these claws tearing into you as the witch rips you to pieces. Most of the other creatures on this list will either need to be hidden from or shot with enough heavy weaponry to take the creatures down. For the witch, probably just want to leave that one alone. Number 9. Hybrids, System Shock. Being stuck on a ship in the middle of space is bad enough. Throw in a bunch of mutated people that will attempt to kill you on sight, well, that just makes things worse. The hybrids from System Shock are the former members of this space vessel, the Von Braun, who now have been infested with a parasite that forces them to follow its basic and often homicidal instructions. The hybrids may not be the most visually disturbing creatures on this list, but that isn't necessarily what makes them so horrifying. What's truly scary about these creatures are that the hybrids are fully aware of their actions. They're simply powerless to do anything about it. They will cry out to warn you if they are coming in for the attack, while also pleading for the player to end their suffering. These creatures are not only enemies to be destroyed, but also victims to be released from their endless agony. A truly horrifying thought. While they only show up in this one game, their influence has been felt in horror titles that have come since, including Dead Space's Necromorphs and the Splicers from BioShock, ensuring that you will truly never feel safe in the confines of space. Number 8. Clickers, The Last of Us. For those who have played The Last of Us, you know why these creatures are so terrifying. For everyone else, let me get you up to speed. In The Last of Us, the zombie scourge is created by fungal spores that infect a host, slowly taking over its nervous system, then actively working to further spread infection. As time progresses, the zombie spores will eventually bloom, causing the zombies to lose their sight, but at the same time allowing them to use sonar by making an audible clicking sound. From this, we get the Clickers, the final and most dangerous zombie variant before the spores take over the creature, leaving it an immobile husk. The best way to deal with Clickers is to sneak by them, avoiding conflict entirely. You can use a shank to kill them, or test your luck by trying to shoot them from a distance, though this can be extremely dangerous. Clickers are able to kill you in one strike if they manage to get a hold of the main character, and are often found in small packs. This makes stealth vital, as you will rarely have enough supplies to deal with every creature you come across, nor the time to take them all down before one of them is able to sink its teeth into you. Number 7. Child with a Chainsaw, Catherine. Most of the creatures in Catherine are direct representations of the main character's fears. Early in the game, the main character Vincent gets a scare when he finds out that his girlfriend Catherine may be pregnant, causing him to have to physically face the fears of being a father and the manifestation of the demonic baby, the child. Later, he becomes paranoid, thinking that not only might Catherine be pregnant, but the baby might not even be his. This causes the child to change into Child with a Chainsaw, an undead amalgamation of flesh and steel that continues to chase Vincent up to its lair, the Clock Tower. To be completely truthful, the Child with a Chainsaw isn't particularly as terrifying as it is humorous. and maybe a little disturbing. Its overall design and representation of Vincent's fears are what put it on this list, as its cries of daddy and screeching sounds of metal grow louder and louder as it gets closer and closer. Just don't let it get too close or, well...
I hear him so close!
May you rest in peace, O Lamb.
Number 6. Broodmother, Dragon Age Origins. What's inside a person is what truly counts in this world, which is why the Broodmothers from Dragon Age Origins are so appalling. In the game, there are dark demonic creatures called Darkspawn that spread rot and disease to all they touch. When delving through their lair to try and reach a mystical object, you find out how the Darkspawn are truly created, and it's through these bloated creatures. When the Darkspawn fight against men, they usually kill them or wear them down to the point where they're nothing more than hollow ghouls. For women, however, a much worse fate awaits them. For them, they feed the flesh of their fallen, then rape and implant them with their seed to turn them into these mindless Darkspawn-making factories, endlessly spawning and eating. There was even one Broodmother who regained her memories and control over her mind, but she was driven insane by what she had become, eventually trying to extinguish all life. In the world of Dragon Age, the true horror behind the Broodmothers is that they exist at all. Number 5. Sachiko, Corpse Party. Little ghost girls are common in Japanese horror, but none are quite as sadistic and terrifying as Sachiko. When Sachiko was alive, she had abnormal powers that her mother tried to help her control. This all ended one night, however, when the principal of the school her mother worked for decided to rape her, but accidentally killed her right in front of Sachiko's eyes. Realizing that there was only one way he was going to get away with this, he ended the poor little girl's life, and in the process unleashed a literal hell on earth. You see, when Sachiko died, her soul split in two, and the part of her soul that contained all of her anger and malice started to hunt down and kill helpless victims indiscriminately. Her first victims were a set of school children that she violently murdered, and afterwards used their combined rage to create a demonic version of their school that was specifically designed to capture and trap people in an endless cycle of torment. What makes Sachiko a creature to be afraid of is that even if she kills you, your anguish will not end. You will remain stuck in her realm of death and suffering for eternity, constantly having to relive the way you died. Not fun. Number 4. Aldrich, Dark Souls 3. There are many awful, disgusting creatures that have graced players' gaming consoles and computers, and in more recent years, the Souls series has brought its own brand of malicious beasts into existence. And of all the creatures that you encounter, there's something special about Aldrich from Dark Souls 3. Aldrich started off as a holy cleric known as the Saint of the Deep, who for reasons unknown developed an insatiable appetite for human flesh. With each person he devoured, he became stronger, and eventually his body bloated into the massive abomination that he became. During the events of the game, as the Unkindled Warrior hunts him down, you find that he has a desire to devour the old gods, and in one instance he succeeds. When you finally come across Aldrich, he has devoured the Dark Sun Gwendolyn, one of the gods in the original Dark Souls, and has now assimilated his carcass into his own gluttonous mass of darkness and flesh. What's horrifying about this boss isn't the actual creature itself. Aldrich can be relatively easily dispatched with patience and planning. But what's truly terrifying is what Aldrich represents. This was once a man that became this bloated monstrosity due to his own disgusting desires. He devoured the bodies and souls of many, and for some, putting him down once and for all was a cathartic act that allowed us to end a creature that deserved its death many times. Number 3. Xenomorph, Alien Isolation. You cannot run. You cannot fight. Just try to hide and pray that you aren't found. Avoiding the Xenomorph in alien isolation is often the only thing that you can do as you try to avoid the game's primary antagonist as it stalks you and others through the halls of the derelict spaceship that you both inhabit. While not originating from video games, the artificial intelligence behind the alien gets its deserved spot here. What makes the alien so terrifying is that you have no idea when it's going to show up, as, except for a few scripted events, its AI is pretty much set to random. The only thing that you can do to know whether the Xenomorph may be waiting to jump out at you is to use a tracker. Unfortunately, said tracker will alert the Xenomorph of your location if it is in the area. So it must be used sparingly and carefully, or else you may find yourself on the wrong end of— Oh my god! Number 2. Red Pyramid, Silent Hill 2. Monsters are everywhere, even inside of us. The Red Pyramid, also known as Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2, works not only as a creature that goes bump in the night, but also as a psychological terror, being the manifestation of James Sunderland, the main character of Silent Hill 2's guilt, and working to punish him for his perceived crimes. The Red Pyramid also seems to have incorporated James's sexual frustration, as it is often seen molesting lesser monsters. At least we think that's what it's doing. It carries around a giant knife the majority of the time. However, towards the end of the game, after certain events take place, a second Red Pyramid appears, and they swap out their knives for spears. Eventually, James will get over his guilt, resulting in the Red Pyramid's existence no longer being necessary. With their reason for existing no longer present, they do the only thing they can and end themselves in an almost ritualistic suicide right in front of James. And you thought you had problems.
Back! Get them away from the ship!
Why won't they die?
It's the giant one! He keeps healing the others!
Number 1. Nemesis, Resident Evil. In the first 2 Resident Evil games, the massive tyrant was one big creature that you did not want to have to fight. Not that they really gave you a choice. So how would you make such a creature even more terrifying? Make it smarter, stronger, and give it a rocket launcher. Yeah, that'll just about do it. The Nemesis made its only canon appearance in Resident Evil 3, where it relentlessly hunted police officer Jill Valentine in order to eliminate the last remaining STARS member in Raccoon City. Throughout the entirety of the game, you had to run from this monstrosity, a creature whose sole desire was to hunt you down and destroy you. It was only through the assistance of others, her pure determination, as well as a little bit of luck, that she managed to make it out of the city alive. During this, she faced off against the Nemesis multiple times, oftentimes barely making it out alive. Even after being caught on fire, melted with acid, and blown apart by a rail cannon, the Nemesis still attempted to eliminate its target, even when it was barely clinging to life itself. The Nemesis has made some additional appearances since then, some playable, such as in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, making it one of the Resident Evil series' most recognizable and dangerous monsters, giving the Nemesis the number 1 spot on this list. Thank you for watching our lists for the top 10 video game monsters. Did you agree with our list? Which video game monsters have freaked you out? Let us know in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed my narration, be sure to check out these upcoming games that I'm working on, such as Deep Within, Planet Explorers, and Liquid Metal. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.